Welcome to the HEX Late Show. It's 43 OG here with you on a Tuesday evening. What's going on, people? What's going on, Hexicans, Pulsicans, Pulsexicans? It's Halloween. Have you guys been hearing me talk? Or I've been talking to myself. Okay. There's a petition. There's a petition that every single Hexican, Pulsexican should be considering. Let me just bring it up. It's a website put together by good Hexicans. I believe it was Crypto Coffee and Kinetics. There might have been some other people involved as well. It's right here. You go to pulsepetition.org. There's some details there. Bear in mind before anyone starts freaking out about, the whole doxing thing. Bear in mind you're not putting down your address, like any crypto address here. So this is not something that's going to connect you to anything. But it's a way of putting your weight behind this petition and putting your weight behind the amicus brief, which, if you click on this part here that says read the petition, you can highlight it all. Might not be the easiest thing to read just on this, but you can highlight it all, go down to the bottom, copy it, paste it into a document, like a Word document or something, and just read through it, print it out or read through it. And you basically, what we should do? We should pop this into an AI to get it to summarize it. I'm not going to do it right now on stream, but I'm about halfway through reading it at the moment, and I have to say, I feel like I agree with everything that's being said in there. Like everything, I agree with all of it so far, and I've got a feeling I'm going to agree with the whole lot. But what we might do is just read the conclusion. Hey, just cut to the end, the shortcut. In presenting this position, we express our firm support for the amicus brief requesting fair adjudication. Our participation in decentralized ecosystems reflects a genuine dedication to principles beyond immediate profit, particularly regarding the political viewpoints on speech articulated by Richard Hart. We believe we are better equipped to testify to the court our own motives when we sacrificed, not the SEC speaking on behalf of us, miscategorized as, in quotation marks, victims. We believe that our sacrifice was not, nor will it ever be, an investment contract / security. We would like a chance to testify about the financial harm that the SEC has caused us with their legal action and the shockwaves it has caused in our community. In short, we believe that our unique perspective and experiences as active participants in these projects can contribute to a more holistic understanding of the case. We respectfully urge the court to consider our amicus brief as an affirmation of our sincere interest in a just and equitable resolution. We believe a complete dismissal aligns with justice, given the SEC's flawed allegations, including falsely defined unincorporated alter egos we've highlighted. By granting our request for consideration, the court would demonstrate its commitment to an inclusive and well-informed adjudication process that acknowledges the interests of all parties involved. Thank you for your attention to this matter. We trust that our collective voices will serve as valuable contributions to the proceedings. We have digitally signed our names and identified information for the court's review. Okay. Oh, Sami's here. Hang on.
Hey,
Sami.
how are ya?
Good. How are you? I was just good. You're good?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. How you doing?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. I was just reading through the conclusion of the amicus brief for that petition and urging people to go have a look at it and sign, because XRP did a very similar thing and they got 75,000 signatures. 75,000 signatures. So are we going to get upstaged by XRP? Are the Hexicans really going to get upstaged by the XRP army? Is that what's happening right now? Well, look.
Yeah, I think they got more. Let me just have a look at KDP's post. Oh, they got 75,000. Yeah, you're right. Well, I think there was 1,000 signatures this morning when I shared it out. So, but
it's 2,600 right now. 2,657.
So I think this is what we're waiting for, because I was in a Spaces months ago and there was a guy in the States that was getting this organised and getting it out. And I know that Kinetics and Crypto Coffee, I think it was, have been doing this over the last few months with the help of a lawyer to get this done. So I think this is a really big, important thing that we've all got to band together and sign, because this is part of our freedom and our rights as well, and part of our future. We've seen the results from the Ripple case. We just have to try and get this done, and yeah, I mean, this may be our last hope for what we can do anyway, because we're sort of like standing here.
Yeah, this is a tangible thing that you can actually do right now. It's a tangible thing that you can do right now. And it's a way to demonstrate to the court that, we're an active community and that we're all participating, and that, when we sacrifice, that we actually sacrifice for freedom of speech. And the part of freedom of speech is, freedom to transact. And so I think that it's a good idea I think it's a good idea for everyone to go to this website. Once again, it's Pulse Petition. It's PulsePetition.org. PulsePetition.org. I'm going to type it in the chat.
And happy Halloween, Retro Static, and everyone in chat.
Yeah, happy Halloween.
Did you get any trick or treaters at your house, 43?
No, we shut the gate early. I just can't. Like we've done it before, but I just feel like it's an excuse just to eat sugar, and I think it's, if Halloween was about everyone sitting around in a circle, like with a candle and telling ghost stories, that would be fun, and it probably should be about that. But it's about just kids walking around getting sugar. The whole thing doesn't like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just becoming a grumpy old man, but to me, it's the thing that just doesn't seem like. None of it seems good. I don't want my kids walking around in public asking people for candy. When I was a kid, that was exactly what you weren't supposed to do. Remember, when we were
exactly.
kids, you weren't supposed to take candy from strangers.
I
And now you
know,
go
but
around knocking on their door asking for candy.
it's not as big here as it is in the US. You know,
Yeah, I know.
I did have a couple come to my door, but I knew who they were. They were my friends' kids. So
Yeah. I got home and I shut the gate.
yeah, fair enough. My kids didn't go this year, but yeah, I used to do it as a kid.
But your kids are, I guess, a bit older.
Yeah, yeah, they're old enough.
Yeah.
So what's new in the world of crypto? Price has been looking good.
Um. Well, what since last week?
Yeah, I
Let me
mean,
just.
we had that big run up, which ran up more. And then we've had the price looking good today on the crypto bubbles. Um,
Yeah, we should bring that up. What's which it's is there crypto bubbles on Go Pulse? I think there is.
I'm not actually sure, but I just Google crypto bubbles.
Oh, yep. We've got our own crypto bubbles on gopulse.com/apps bubbles.
Yeah.
I want to go have a look at HEX stats today. Stats.today. Let me just bring this up because I think that the daily payouts have been the daily payouts have been pretty juicy.
Yeah, they have.
Let me just bring this up, hey. Yeah, let's have a look at this. What am I doing here? What am I doing? There we go. What have we got? So payout per T-share on Ethereum was 6.661 and payout per T-share on PulseChain was 6.765. Right. So we're really starting to push up towards that 7, aren't we? I mean, it
Yeah.
doesn't feel like that long ago that we were just getting into the 6s, right? We're pushing through the high 5s into the 6s. And this is how much you get, how much HEX you get per T-share. So, if you've got enough T-shares, you're going to be getting nice bags. Like if you can get yourself, like, how much is a T-share right now? A T-share costs $270. So what's that? That's if
On
you
Ethereum.
a full on Ethereum, that's a full length stake. So let's say a 10 to 15 year stake, you can get that for a third, which is $90 per T-share. And on PulseChain, 420, which what would that be? 420 per T-share. What's that? 14, is that 140, sorry, not 14, $140 per T-share for a 10-year stake, which is pretty good. But if we zoom down a little bit, I'm going to have a look here at where's the daily payout per T-share? Let's have a look at this. Look at this one. 7.2. 7.2.
Is
And what
that
have we got?
this week? The last week gone?
That was the day before. So that was on the 30th.
Look, there's one for 9 over 90.
Yeah,
9
there's
paid
one
out.
9 there, and then one down
Another
here for
one.
9.
Nice.
But low sevens. And then here we've got a couple of 7s in a row. Now this is I'm just trying to look at, does this tell me which one's which? Am I blind here? This table, does it tell me which HEX I'm looking at?
I don't think it does, because even I don't know what you're looking at, bro.
Anyway, you should have both hexes. Okay, awesome. Enough of that. Let's go for something a little bit more local, hey? So I'm not sure if you have heard about the bill in Australia.
No, I haven't.
You haven't heard about this bill in Australia?
Maybe Claz did tell me briefly, but go ahead, tell me.
Yeah, so there's this bill that they want to push through in Australia called the Disinformation Amendment. Well, it's it's something like that. It's something like that. And they, I've got a website where we can all check out the information. Hang on, let me just bring Tangent up.
Hi, Tangent. Hey,
Sami. Hey, Day 43. What's going on, guys?
What's going on, people?
I'm just putting us into the metaverse, and then I'll be with you.
Oh, no.
No worries. I'm just talking about the. Now, there's a site here called Bin the Bill, and I'm that up because that is a website where you can go and you can make a difference. The tools for you to reach your representatives, plus some helpful guidance below. Now, you might be wondering what I'm talking about. Let me play a clip, and that will clarify everything.
Perfect.
So,
no freedom of discussion here. There's a bit of legislation that's sitting in the Parliament's in tray that no one again wants to talk about, but this is also damn powerful, this one. This is government-sponsored, the Misinformation Bill, you know, the Internet Censorship Bill. Essentially something that gives a bureaucracy the power to decide what shouldn't be seen by people. And funnily enough, it's almost... It's a bit like we're ahead of ourselves here. It's almost like what we're talking about could become the sort of thing that they would say, this is unacceptable to be spoken of, so just stop discussion about it. This is really dangerous stuff. What are you hearing about it? Where is it at?
Yeah, well, look, I totally agree. I mean, it's a terrible, terrible bill. It was released as what they call an exposure draft, which is really the minister throwing it out for comment to sort of pressure test it in many ways. And I'm told they had 23,000 submissions, I would suspect most of which were not positive, and are only going to release 2,500 of them. Now, I'm actually really encouraged by the amount of pushback there's been on this bill, because I've been watching this space for a long period of time, and I initially was a bit concerned that people may not see the importance and the gravity of what was being suggested here, which is exactly as you say. What would happen here is that there would be basically extra powers given to ACMA, the media authority, to decide what was and was not mis or disinformation, as it's called, and that ultimately would be what the government says. I mean, you know, you take the example of COVID, the COVID era, for example. Misinformation would have been anything really that flew against the advice of the Department of Health, and we saw that. We saw through that period that the Department of Health and Home Affairs teaming up with social media, teaming up with these foreign nationals doing this work on reporting these posts and actually pulling down things that were quite true at the time. Well, that will be the future under this bill, except that there may well be criminal sanctions as well and fines that go along with it. So the chilling effect on shows like this, really, social media, the smaller broadcasters would be very real, where big traditional news outlets like, the major broadcasters would be exempt, and so would government. So really what you'd get is basically the news of yesteryear, where it was just whatever the mainstream media and the government told you. And that sounds like a ministry of truth to me.
Or if I can put it in a fashion that's very relatable.
Yeah. So I don't think any of us want that sort of thing happening in Australia. So where there is a website, it's called binthebill.info. And you can basically, there's a list of, I think down here, you find your senator. So if you're in New South Wales, you can email all the senators in New South Wales. And
wow, that's Cool.
Victoria, Queensland, New South Wales, South Australia, Northern Territory, Tassie, ACT. And you can, there's info here on some like templates, examples, and stuff that you can feed into AI and, get some meaningful comments that you can email to senators to oppose the bill, and tell them that you believe that they should be voting against it. If it goes to the Senate.
Yeah, that's really cool.
I'm not sure where Tangent went. He's here. It's weird. I see Tangent.
Oh, there he is.
I had to go and sneeze. I heard the video that you were playing. Yeah. I'm getting sick of all this government shit. Like, as in, like, I'm getting sick of the part that seems like I need to participate at all. So you'll have to excuse me from, like, any shit to do with it. Like I don't mind it when it's it comes up rarely. Like if Richard's like, hey, this is really important, I need everyone to submit things, I don't mind that. But when it's like every week there's a new thing where it's like, hey guys, we need to email this minister. Hey guys, we need to do this. I'm over it, man. I'm not doing it. Yeah. Like, as in, that system has no authority over me, and everyone should just be like, fuck off. We need to do the Ivan on tech shit. Fuck the legacy system, man. We run their shit now. They just need to wake up and realize it.
Yeah, man. I don't know if I share your, like, I totally accept what you're saying. Like, if you don't want to do something.
Yeah, I'm not saying others have to do the same as me. I'm just saying what I'm doing.
This is like legit legislation that could legitimately affect what we're doing right now. Like,
the term legit legislation doesn't exist to me.
Yeah,
like,
okay.
As in, legit and legislation don't exist in the same sentence. Like, shouldn't for me. It's all fucking nonsense, man.
I agree. I agree. But
I'll allow this sort of stuff to take up my time, like maybe once every 6 months if there's something really important. But I'm not doing this shit every week, man. And at the moment, it seems like every 5 minutes, it's like, oh, there's this other thing that everyone needs to send shit. It's just like, fuck these guys, man. Like, fuck them. They're going to learn the hard way.
I mean, the thing is that, all right, let me give you an example. When you get a rates notice from the council, do you just say, fuck those guys, I'm not going to pay my rates notice because I don't operate in their system, I'm just going to live my life and do my... The fact of the matter is...
That's different, because if I don't participate in that nonsense, I end up in a cage.
Yeah, so no, the point that I'm trying to make is this legislation, what we're doing right now, and speaking out against legislation, shitty legislation, that the actual act of us speaking out against shitty legislation could get us put like in jail if this sort of shit gets through. So this is sort of draconian shit that they want to bring in.
Of course. I'm clearly against it. Like, I'm clearly against any shit that leads us down a path of tyranny. But where does it end, man? Like, am I having to write letters every fucking week to try and like stop them from doing shit that ultimately they're just going to do it anyway? Like, I think we just build around them is the solution.
Yeah. Look, if they're going to have the power to just take down or censor our social media, then we're going to have to build around them, right? You're going to have to like get new social media, but we all know how that works out. Like, how good is Rumble? How good is, what was that other Twitter, that one that was going to fucking beat Twitter like 6 months ago? Where the fuck did that go?
Rumble's not doing too badly.
No, but what was that other Twitter that came out for a bit?
There was Truth Social, and then there was also that other one that had the image. It was like a flaming torch. Like, I'm down for us as a group who all collectively have the same sort of interests and ethics to attack this from different directions. I'm just not going to be on team begging the government to do the right thing. I will dedicate my time, effort, economic energy, and other shit, and all my effort towards a different vector. So don't worry. I will still be fighting the good fight. I'm just not going to do it that specific way because
I would make the argument that if you're writing a senator a letter, you're not begging any government, because senators are not a part of the government. Senators vote on legislation in the upper house, and they are not a part of the government. The government's in the House of Reps. I take your point, though. You don't want to be.
It's all part of the same system, man.
It's a part of the system. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's a part of the system that also, tells us that we have to drive a certain way on the road, and we have to.
I'm okay with rules.
Yeah,
I'm okay with rules without rules.
Well, these are new, but this is but that's the point.
So I'm good with road rules, man. I don't want chaos on the roads. Like,
I agree.
I'm down with road rules. I think that they would be fairly universally agreed upon, that people should, not just be able to drive any way they want. So,
like Thailand, have you been to Thailand? That's their
I have witnessed that shit where it's like they just ignore the lights, and you just have to like go with the flow, and you just like literally just drive out into the middle of the intersection with everyone else, and you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's wild. There's some that's like organized chaos though, right? Like they have a cultural agreement on how those road rules work. So it's like those are rules that maybe are not the rules written by the government, but it's everyone seems to have agreed upon that same rule set. So I'm okay with that as well. It is a bit dangerous as a tourist, but at a high level, I'm okay with that as well.
It's more dangerous as a local. Those local, they die at very high rates. Those people in those countries.
If a tourist doesn't know what they're doing and hits into them, or do you mean?
No. Just like because they're there all the time. Like your chances of dying.
Your statistical probability goes up because you're exposed to it for a longer duration. You're exposed to that risk.
Every taxi you get's like a roller coaster because you don't know whether you're going to survive or not. I remember having my arm across my kid. She had a seatbelt on, but my arm, just in case she went through the front window. It's like, it's crazy.
That's hectic.
But then traffic all over Australia is crazy right now as well. Sydney's crazy. Melbourne's crazy. I don't know about WA and Adelaide.
Traffic is crazy at the moment. It is.
Oh, that's my pet hate. I hate traffic. It's just a waste of my life. That's why I work from home. You could be bothered with that shit. It's just wasting.
I want to make one counterpoint before we, and then give it to you to tie up if you want. Just to what you were saying, Tangent. What we've been through in the last 2 or 3 years, just in general, has been overreach by government. Right, it's been massive overreach. So this sort of stuff is a pain in the ass. However, with AI, it's a lot easier. Like something that was a real pain in the ass where you had to come up with everything yourself. Now you can get AI to do it in 10 minutes, and you've done everything in 10 minutes. Right, you can do it all in 10 minutes. So I would say that right now for us, the people, is time to counterpunch. It's like it's a fight, right? We've just been slapped around for like 2-3 years. Now's our time. We've got that split second where we can counterpunch, and we need to hit hard back. And the way you hit hard back at government is by letting people in government and people who are in parliament know this is what the people think. This is how we see it. Please, do our bidding, and then that's all you can do. That's all you can do, and then maybe vote them out at the election.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can move on. We can move on.
Yep.
So, have you guys got anything of interest that you wanted to bring up from the last week or so? Do we want to have a look at some charts?
Did we ever talk about the Sydney meetup? Like, was that last week or the week before?
That was like 3 weeks ago now.
Oh shit!
No, it was. Oh yeah, it was. It was a couple of weeks ago now. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's 3 weeks ago.
Because while you were there, Sami, while you guys did the meetup, 43 and I showed photos of, I think, on a stream that it was just the two of us. That might have actually been the week after then. Because the photos already existed, so it probably was. Then did we ever get like a commentary from you on like some of the highlights? Typically, I ask people 2 questions. what was your highlight? So basically the best thing that happened, and also the dark horse highlight, which is like something that you didn't have really any expectations of, or even to the point where you thought it would be a bad thing, like sort of that you're like, oh man, I have to go and do this shit. And then it ended up being really good.
Yeah. All right, cool. So first of all, I just want to say I have fun, and it was awesome to meet everyone. And I wish you were there, and I wish you were there. But anyway, so yeah, the whole thing, like from the start, we put the invites out prior to all this SEC stuff dropping. So before the price crashed, we put out and looked for venues that would suit the numbers that we had, and then bang, this stuff comes out. Our numbers just drop. All these people can't make it. We put deposits on stuff, and so I was just like, oh my god, this is like couldn't come at a more terrible time. So anyway, we worked around it. We got a smaller boat for the cruise. The hotel was fine. They were really casual from the beginning, and breakfast were pretty cool in the end too. So that was the main thing. Like, oh shit, I don't want to do this. But anyway, I was really excited about it, and and I was speaking to Black Hexagon, who does all the meetups in America, and I was telling her what happened. She goes, "Don't worry about it." She goes, "It'll all work out," and it did. It really did. So with the help of Dar, because he was awesome, he's in Sydney, and he basically organised most of it. So yeah, so it was really cool from the start. We had the Friday night drinks at the Occidental Hotel, where we had the cutout of Richard Hart. We did quizzes, met the Hexagons, played some games, had some drinks, had some food. Then we went to falafel. Well, most of them went to a place called, it was like a falafel house. And it was funny because you guys don't have falafel in Perth. Did you know what falafel is?
Yeah, I know what it is.
I heard this story.
I think you can get it here. You can get it here, but it's just we don't have dedicated restaurants for it.
Okay. Because in Sydney you would, and probably in Melbourne you would too, because there's a lot of veggies. But obviously falafel's like something that looks like a meat, but it actually isn't. So all the Hexagons went in. There was about 10 of them, went and sat down to have a falafel thing, and they were having a kebab. But it was actually falafel, which is a vegetarian type. It looks like meat. It's not. So they were all like really like cheesed off, and I didn't go because I went home, so I had to wake up early the next day. But they had falafel. We had a good night, and then
they thought they were getting lamb.
They thought they were getting meat. They got falafel, but it was a really good night. They had a late night. Then we all walked up, and there was a lot of fun. We all got together. I've got an awesome selfie. I wish I had shared it. It's all of us leaving the hotel, and literally the cruise was just going like basically a 7-minute walk from our hotel. So we all just went down there, and they picked up the DJ, and we all got on the boat. So all us Hexagons, there's like 35 of us just standing around waiting for the boat to come. And yeah, we were on the boat, and the cruise was just awesome because Sydney Harbour never fails to impress. If you've ever been to Sydney, the views are just always spectacular, especially on a sunny day. So they took us right out, right up near the back of the harbour, and they anchored, and we just had this beautiful scenery, the beautiful coloured water. We had our DJ going, we had drinks, we had beautiful food, and Hex Rockstar was there. He had the falafel. And we all just chilling, talking crypto, and we just had a really great time. And that finished about 4, and then we went to the pub, and we actually ended up getting kicked out of the first pub, which actually that was a shitty thing that happened because one of our Hexagons from Melbourne who came up, and there was a lot of people. There was Adelaide, Tasmania, Perth, Melbourne. So one of our Melbourne Hexagons was drinking water all day. And a whole group of us was standing near the door at this bar in the rocks in Sydney, which is like a real popular area at the Circular Quay. So all the guys would just stand around drinking, and they kept on moving in the way of the door. And this big ass bouncer security guard's going like, hey fellas, can you move out the way of the door? And then they move out the way, have a few drinks, get back in the way of the door. Everyone's pissed. Everyone's having a great time. Anyway, he turns around to one of our Hexagons and says, I've told you 4 times, you haven't moved, so get out. So kicked him out. Then another hexing goes up and says, "You're not kicking him out. He's drinking water. If you're kicking him out, I'm going too." He goes, "Get out." So we all leave. Anyway, we go to the next pub, which is a German pub, which was really good and had like these massive beers because it was Oktoberfest at the time. So we all have a few drinks, have dinner, and it was a lot of fun just talking shit together. And then I bailed, a few other staff. I think they got shit-faced because I know that Rango couldn't get up the next morning and Klaz and Dozza looked a little bit worse for wear. And then, we had a breakfast the next morning at the Mercure, which was, okay. I mean, I wouldn't rave. Only 10 people walked up, including myself. But it was really good. But I think the highlight for me was meeting Klaz and Dozza and Jex, and also my friend Ollie, who's my Hexagon friend from Adelaide. So that's the first time we met, and we talk all the time. We're very similar. And she flew up and we hung out. And then on the Sunday we went to Bondi together. We took Hex Rockstar with us and my girl. We had a beautiful time at Bondi. It was so nice down there. The highlight was just meeting everyone, just hanging out together. We had 3 days together. So by the end of the 3 days, you would have made some sort of friend. It was really cool. And a lot of people reached out and said, "Oh, I missed it. When are you doing another one?" And we're going to do another one, but when price goes up, and we're going to ask for payment first, because if you don't, it just creates headaches. But we did manage to refund the people that had already paid for their cruise tickets, which was $245. It's not cheap. But we did manage to refund the people that couldn't make it. It was a lot of fun. Seems like ages ago now. I'm going on my next holiday in a couple of weeks.
What? That's wild.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm going on a cruise with my girlfriend to Adelaide, and I'm going to see my friend Ollie, the Hexagon, over there too.
Oh, that's awesome! What an awesome summary, Sammy. Thanks for that. Like, that's awesome news. And
I wish you were there,
I'm glad.
Tanton.
Thanks, me too. I'm glad that it all worked out in terms of last minute changes and stuff like that. And can I wrote a note to remind myself that I wanted to use that as a real world example. So notice what Sammy just said about how people that were like, yeah, definitely coming, and then a change in price that's, yes, it's drastic in percentage terms, but it's not that crazy, was enough for some people to be like, oh, now I'm not going. What does happen is people's perception of how people's perception of their own wealth level will impact how willing they are to spend, whether it's on non-crypto or actually buying more crypto. And so that's part of the reason why these systems are so reflexive, is when prices are pumping upwards, people are like, well, I don't need to sell crypto because I'm rich, but it's on paper, right? But that leads them to not selling and possibly even doing more buying, whereas the opposite happens on the way down. So, and all I'm saying is this is a real world example, like anecdotal evidence that what I'm saying is true, that it can impact people in a way in terms of their attitudes towards spending / buying more drastically than you would probably think if you were looking at it just purely on paper with a logical mind.
Oh, yeah. It was just like that day when everything hit the fan. It was just like everyone just wanted to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
So we were like left holding the babies. But I'm so glad. And we had a really positive sentiment from all the Aussie Hexicans. They're a chill group anyway. And I'd re-met some of the people that I'd already met there before. And they were all pretty chill. Everyone's got real life problems, but crypto really ain't one of them,
99 problems and crypto ain't one.
It's a true story.
We're back. I'm starting to feel really positive. I'm starting to feel really positive, like, again.
Dude, late to the party. Dude.
No, but the sentiment, like, I'm starting to feel like overall, like, good about it again. And I know we still might be a while away from,
No, we're not. So it's like, it's done. I mean, we're actually this monthly close to me is like probably the last chance that bears have any sort of ability to sort of like influence the technicals. And by the way, that's in just over 12 hours. So in just over 12 hours, the month closes. The weekly closed so bullish. So the weekly candle closed bullish at AF. By the way, we're above the line that Richard Hart himself said, gun to my head, this is where I would draw resistance. We are above that now. We've closed the week above it. We've closed days above it. We're about to close the month above it. So even the people that worship Richard and think that everything that he says automatically means it's 100% guaranteed to come true because he's always playing 5,555D chess, also will be bullish at the close of this month, or they'll be bullish or a hypocrite. They can choose between those two. And dude, it's like, obviously with the caveat that it's like anything can happen, it's basically over. Like as far as you can have certainty in a game that is as uncertain as what we are in, it's done in 12 hours from now.
So what are you saying, Tangent? Are you saying that Richard's bottom call of 15K ain't going to happen?
His 11K in prey has been like dead in the water forever.
15K did
like,
happen. His 15K.
Sorry. Yeah, so did the 11K technically. Look, he can get out of this on a technicality. Binance had a flash crash to 11K within, I think, it was within a couple of months of him actually making the prediction. Now, look, if we look at it as what he implied, what the implication was, that doesn't count, right? But
what was Grayscale?
Technically, it went there. It crashed to 11K on one exchange.
And didn't Grayscale go there as well?
I'm not sure. Do you mean the GBTC?
Yep.
I'm not sure.
I thought with
GBTC, most people just cover whether it's a premium or a discount, not what the actual price is. But to me, it doesn't matter. Like, as in, the more important thing is that he drew a line on a chart and said, gun to my head, if I had to draw resistance on Bitcoin, it would be here. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was definitely lower than where we are now. It was like maybe somewhere around 30, 32, something like that. And we're like 35.
Lol. The Appian GBTC does not count. Come on. Give Richard the Appian in the chat.
I did admit it's whether we let him get away on a technicality, but technically his shit came true, sort of. Like,
yeah,
he can do it.
He did say 15 grand. He said he had an interview where he said 15 grand if they've just printed so much money.
He said the inflation could mean that 11K is actually 15K. Did we go to 15K?
But I think Richard makes a good point of being absolutely real. He's a realist, and due to his experience in the market and his analysis, I think he's given an excellent example. And what I respect about it is he's not a moon boy. He tells it how it is. He's never been the guy. Like, even I've watched him call the 20K Christmas before it happened. And he's not one of those guys who says, Bitcoin's going to $1 million,
Yeah.
So that's my respect for it, whether it was on an exchange or not, But yeah, I don't think it's going to go lower.
He's good at controlling his emotions and not allowing it to impact him to the upside or the downside compared to almost everyone else who has a voice. Most people, as soon as the prices are going up, they're suddenly making these outlandishly high targets. And so, I rate Richard highly, and I think that now that we're above that resistance that he said that was going to be like the key resistance level, it's another reason to be bullish. It's not what I relied on. I always said that we're not going to 11K, etc. But he also factored in the Mt. Gox coins, which they've put off for another 12 months now for them to sell out. Yeah, that's a good point. Yep, they've delayed the potential for a deadline by another 12 months.
And because they're getting paid, that's why. And also the government Bitcoin that they need to sell off, he factored in that as well.
Yeah. So he wouldn't have been able to predict, and this just shows why no one can see the future, even someone that people think like Richard, that he has some kind of ability to predict everything, the full like 55 million degree chess, dimensional chess, sorry, is that, so he wasn't able to see the future on GOX doing this shit where they delay again. It really looked like those coins were really going to come out, so much to my dismay. That's something he wouldn't have been able to predict. There are network participants that are just outside of your control. I think he said he wanted to see Sailor get liquidated. I think he said he wanted to see NFTs all go to zero or close to. I think he said he wanted to see the GBTC premium completely evaporate. Now, none of those things happened, and we're full bull mode now. Like, so the things that he was saying that he required before he would admit it was bullish, they will occur, but they're happening concurrently with the bullish sentiment. So the GBTC premium is closing.
NFTs.
The NFTs.
I would say NFTs.
They got pretty wrecked. They
much.
got pretty wrecked on ETH.
They got total.
They got pretty wrecked on PulseChain. Sorry, they got pretty wrecked on ETH.
Yeah.
But
I'm going to give him that one.
GBTC,
I'm going to give him that
the
one.
The GBTC premium.
They're going to come back though. That's
they're going to come back. Sorry, go ahead, Tangent. We've just talked over you.
No, it's okay. I was just going to say the GBTC premium. What Richard didn't predict is that it would close as the bullishness is. So he wanted to see that gap close before he would be bullish, but they happened concurrently. So the gap hasn't even closed yet, and we're at local highs. We're smashing it. Like, we've been in a bull market all year. So if someone was using that as an indicator, by the way, you should never just use one thing as an indicator. But if you were, you'd be reverse wrecked. You'd miss most of the bull market because it still hasn't closed. Same with GOX coins. Same with and NFTs going to zero. Did they ever really go to zero? I know people that have got NFTs on ETH that are still worth like 80 ETH for an NFT.
Really?
The apes and the punks never went to zero. They held their their value pretty well. So I think he was trying to paint a picture of why at the time people should still be concerned, but they weren't necessarily good indicators to wait for those things specifically, because you would have missed this entire year of bull. Like this entire year has been a bull market on Bitcoin and the broader crypto space, and you would have missed all of it on the sidelines if you were looking at those indicators. So yeah.
Everyone likes an NFT, and I love Charlie's My Chess Moves, and her orange Tangang NFTs. They're really sexy and gorgeous and fun, and she's selling them off now. As I say, I really do like some of the NFTs, but man, if I want to look at a picture, I want to frame it, I want to look at it, or I want to put it in a book or somewhere where I can see it. I don't know. I think it's monetized. For what reason? And I can see, and the only reason I see NFTs is good is the punk and the ape club, because they're collector's items. It's like anything. It's like rare coins. Not every coin is worth a lot of money. It's only collector's items. And there's going to be an oversupply, and they're all just going to go up. And I've heard people making excellent money over bull and NFTs. I say to them, I don't believe in it, but if you're making money, hell, go for it, baby. But yeah, I ain't putting shit in them.
Yeah, if you look at it as that it's just another thing that people are speculating on, then in that respect, it's actually pretty similar to some of the tokens, like the tokens, the meme coins. It's like, will this JPEG be worth more later? Now that sounds like greater fool theory shit, but it is true that some of these collections become in high demand later. And so I agree with what you're saying, and the Tangang's actually been very sensible. So the people who sort of are looked to as the people who know their shit within that group have actively been saying, hey guys, everyone's getting super excited about all these NFT drops, but just keep in mind, it is still just a JPEG. Everyone, it's fine if you want to speculate on JPEGs. If you make money on it, even better. But just remember that ultimately, remember what the aim of the game is here. It's to stack sats.
Absolutely.
And I mean, one of the things that I've noticed especially within the Tang gang, is people have started using these NFTs as token gates. So, they'll say, say there's an artist that they really like. They'll say, you have to be holding like one of Mana's Grove Girls, or one of Degen Waffles' neckbeard pump style NFTs to be able to be eligible for some other thing. And so it's that utility within the community. It's a utility that, and so some people might be like, well, I don't care about this other thing that you're token gating, whatever it is. That's fine. But some people do. And so some people see value in that and they're willing to buy it. So I just see it as another form of speculation.
Yeah, absolutely. Spot on.
Have you guys been paying much attention to the ETH BTC chart?
Yes, wrecked for ETH. ETH wrecked. Is that upside down? That must be Bitcoin on ETH.
Yeah, Bitcoin on ETH.
So if you look at it with the Bitcoin base, if you look at it with the Bitcoin base or just invert the axis, ETH is getting absolutely wrecked compared to Bitcoin. This has been going on for a bit. It's wrecked, dude, completely wrecked. And it's one of the, look at that chart. It's one of the ugliest charts you've ever seen. And it should have been obvious to anyone paying attention that with the Bitcoin ETF being the thing that was really the news narrative that was driving the market, why would you be positioned in ETH compared to Bitcoin? Why? It doesn't make any sense. So Bitcoin's definitely been the play of the, if you're looking at the assets that are like the blue chips or whatever you want to call them.
So would BTC people be trading into ETH now? Wouldn't that be the move?
Yeah, I don't.
That's the ratio trade, isn't it?
Yeah, well, not while that chart looks like that. That looks fucking horrific, dude. So, by the way, what channel are we on today?
We're on Discourse Syndicate.
Oh, okay. I'll watch my language a bit. So, that chart looks terrible. That chart looks absolutely horrible. There's absolutely no way that I would be buying that chart. It looks disastrous. It looks absolutely horrific. So, if I was a Bitcoiner, and I am, hence the t-shirt, there's not a chance in shit that I would be trading my Bitcoin for ETH now. Maybe later if that chart improves drastically. But
so
dude, Bitcoin halving coming up, Bitcoin halving coming up, Bitcoin ETF coming up. So
absolutely,
I don't think you'd be rotating into ETH until one or both of those things have actually occurred, or at least a big pre-pump based on those things, like a buy the rumor pump. I would want to see, ETH get wrecked even harder against Bitcoin and start to recover before I would ever think of trading my Bitcoin for ETH.
I'm just wondering if there's a chart that goes back further, because this is only going back to August 21. Just wondering if there's a BTC ETH, a longer one.
There should be. Some of the early exchanges, like Bitfinex and BitMEX and what's that other one that was like Bittrex? Did I already say Bittrex? Bitfinex, Bittrex, BitMEX. They all sound the same, but yeah, any of those should have longer history. Dude, look, if you're not buying the greatest assets in crypto, which is basically PulseChain, HEX, and HOA, then it's Bitcoin. That's Bitcoin. With the halving coming up and this ETF thing, why would you? Yeah, I just think positioning in alts, unless you're really confident that those alts are going to outperform in the short term, which the ones that I just listed, I'm reasonably confident, not financial advice. I think anything other than Bitcoin is not a good look.
I'm in other stuff apart from Bitcoin on Ethereum.
Yeah, so sorry, Sami, I should be specific here that it's if you're already positioned in something else, that's a different thing of whether you would sell a bag to get Bitcoin. I'm more talking about if it was a new position that someone was taking, or if they're already positioned in Bitcoin. I think, and that's why none of what we say is financial advice, because even just that one thing, which is only one of the little details of what I meant, which was lost in translation, There's many other things as well. But yeah, like for me personally, yeah, I'm like PulseChain, HEX, Bitcoin, HOA. Like they're the things that I think are going to perform the best in the short term. And PulseX as well. It HEX on both chains. Like all the assets that we love, right? Like all the assets that we collectively love as a group, as the Richard Hart community, and Bitcoin.
Yeah. So tangent, BlackRock ETFs on the way, just waiting for the lazy SEC corrupt dogs to get their act together.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious that's like definitely has to happen at some point now. Like
how many other ones are sitting on the SEC's desk? Like
I don't know the exact number, but there's multiple. Yeah.
There's multiple, which is a catalyst for the next bull run, right?
For us as users, it doesn't matter whether they approve one or all. For the actual individual companies or whatever, asset managers, whatever you want to call them, it matters to them because there's such a huge first mover advantage. If they give the approval to one of them and not the rest, that entity will benefit massively from having the first ETF because the amount of money that is going to flow from institutions. By the way, that's what you're fading if you're not holding Bitcoin right now. You are fading institutional money, literally sitting there at the gate, waiting for it to open up so they can literally do that meme from Futurama where the guy's like, take my effing money. That's people that are fading Bitcoin right now. Literally see these institutions waiting at the gate, just frothing to be able to buy it. And then they're like, nah, I don't want a piece of that action. No, I'm afraid that. With all the technicals and fundamentals looking amazing, macro looks incredible for Bitcoin. It's
man.
By the way, if anyone still doesn't think that the macro is now like incredibly good for Bitcoin, go and watch the most recent Ivan on Tech video. He explains it perfectly as to why the macro is actually now incredibly bullish. So there's literally nothing left that's not bullish for Bitcoin. And that, by the way, that flows onto PulseChain and our stuff as well, because we've seen correlation lately. When Bitcoin has pumped, PulseChain pumps even harder. In fact, Richard made some very aggressive tweets, and I mean aggressive in a good way. Go and look at Richard's, this is to the viewers, go and look at Richard's recent tweets. He's getting mouthy about us winning. He's getting mouthy about the performance and also not just the performance of PulseChain and our favorite PulseChain related assets like HEX and PulseX and stuff like that. He's also getting mouthy about the distinct differences between those other chains. And this is, by the way, the reason why I love PulseChain the most, aside from my bag bias, is all of those things that Richard highlights. It's like your shit is centralized, able to be censored, stuff going down all the time, exploits galore. Come over here and look at our stuff. Low fee, glorious, no IP tracking, people who believe in the true mission statement of crypto, a founder that is fighting for you and who actually gives a fuck. Sorry for the swearing. He just laid it down and just went, spot the difference, mofo. Spot the difference. Pulse chains just like tick, 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 boom. Every other chain is just like wrecked.
Dude, you can swear. You can swear, man. I've never known Discourse Syndicate not to allow us to swear.
No, I swear all the time.
I just thought I would clean my act up for DS. When we're on DS, I just try and do professional. So,
hey, Nico, how are you?
I mean, did you guys see those tweets by Richard? What amps me up is for him to make a tweet like that, where so he's stating in that tweet, this chain, PulseChain, has a founder who is fighting for the people. What does that imply? Like
it means he's sitting in his fucking black throne saying, "Let's fucking go.
Let's fucking go."
Stop, yes.
That's what I picture.
Hey,
I picture that. He's got that fucking keyboard on a plank of wood on his fucking lap. He's typing. He's like doing about 17 different things at once with AI.
I would love to see him have, like, if he fired up the studio and it's like exactly the same as before, but like you said, everything's just like gangstered out, like it's all murdered out, blacked out. Like, so those Swarovski crystals that he used to have, he's got the exact same ones, but they're like black crystals. The throne is just like blacked out. Everything behind him, all the candles are black, the candle holder's black. It's just like the scene is just murdered out. And he's just like, yo, come get some. Remember when I said, bring your heroes here to die? I never said to stop doing that, guys. Bring your heroes here to die. And now your heroes might be a whole range of industries. So, yeah, man, those recent tweets that he made are making me hyper bullish on PulseChain.
So did Richard tweet out, or maybe Sami tweeted out, that MetaMask is going to go in to know your customer to get in, which, well, I wanted to ask, well, does that mean in Rabbi.io wallet, will there be an update in that wallet? What about KG's Internet Money wallet? Not that I use it, but I heard it's really good.
KG gives a shit about privacy and censorship resistant stuff like that. So you can trust that until he says otherwise, you can trust that the Internet Money wallet is true DeFi. As far as Rabbi goes, Rabbi doesn't, so a website or an entity's decision making on how they are censoring their shit, I don't like. Rabbi is it's a separate part of the stack. So I think Rabbi is staying fairly neutral, in my opinion, I think. And do you mean that inside Rabbi you can swap using Uniswap? Is that what you mean?
So no, so will Rabbi ask for my details at some point?
Oh, I don't know the answer to that question, but if they ever did, I would stop using them immediately. So I never use the in-wallet swapping on any wallets. So I don't know if like it's going to impact that shit, because the in-wallet swapping probably does utilize some of these dexes. But ultimately for us, especially like Richard said, he's like, go and have a look at PulseX. It doesn't censor, it doesn't go down. It's truly decentralized. It's truly censorship resistant. It's actually true DeFi like it's supposed to be. We actually technically don't have a problem. We've already built around the censorship that they haven't even fully brought in yet. How that might impact you on a day-to-day with other stuff that you currently use, I'm not sure, Sami, but we'll just have to cross those bridges when we get to them, or burn them the fuck down.
Thanks, Tangent.
I'm not too concerned if they turn around and have KYC. It's how they bring it in. Like, one thing I cannot stand is when a company will take your money and say, oh yeah, we're gonna swap this for you, and then once they've taken your money and they've got custody, then they say, oh, by the way, I need like your birth certificate,
agreed,
driver's license, all this shit.
That's the
and
worst.
I need it now. Yeah. So
or an exchange where your money's already on the exchange and they were not KYC, and then they're like, now we're doing KYC, and by the way, you can't even withdraw your funds.
Yeah,
that's
I
dog,
man.
That's dog. I agree with you, man. I can't stand that shit.
If it's a swap that it's like you've got custody in your wallet, and then you go to do a swap, and it's like, hey, you need a KYC before we'll allow you to use this functionality. To me, that's the same as some shit just not working properly. So I just fuck it off and find something else. Because that's what happens in crypto all the time. All the time, you'll go to a site and try and use it. It doesn't work. You go, fuck it, I'll go to another site and go somewhere else and do the same shit. So for me, that's fine, as long as they don't try and trick us into, like, they take the money and then say, hey, now you need to KYC. Because that's dodgy.
I'm not a lawyer, but I think that Rabbi would have a very strong defense against anyone saying, hey, you have to KYC. They'd be like, why? We're literally just the interface that allows people to interact with those things. We don't hold the funds. We don't do any shit. We're literally just propagating the fucking signatures, bro. So I don't think, like, as in, if they're smart and they've got good lawyers, I don't think they would ever be able to be forced to do any of that shit. It's more the front ends of these protocols that are more likely to come under fire for that kind of stuff. And then we can just use IPFS. You guys know hex.com, like go.hex.com already has IPFS. There are other PulseChain. Many PulseChain protocols are considering firing up an IPFS version. I know of some. I won't name them just yet because it's no point saying until they've actually done it. And so, yeah, IPFS is pretty dope. I think that's going to be a good workaround.
Oh, that's a good comment by Retrostatic. MetaMask will finally, they'll do an airdrop, but you'll have to sign up for KYC.
I will not be participating. They can fucking keep it.
Yes. 100%.
Or maybe I'll do it under a fake ID and then snitch on them to the government and be like, I signed up for this thing under a fake ID and a VPN. These guys are like not gating their shit properly. We could start playing that game. Do you know what I mean? Like, so if you work out what their system is for trying to make sure that they're doing the right thing, work out how to circumvent it, and then send that to the authorities. I'm not a snitch, so I can't do that, but someone could, just to F them up for being unethical Fs themselves. Because you know people get F'd for that.
They get F'd in the A.
You get F'd in the A. If someone can demonstrate that they circumvented your, even if you're kind of like trying to make a good attempt at not allowing the wrong people to participate or whatever, that won't be good enough for the government.
Hey, can I butt in?
Yeah.
Just with an update. So there's now 2,600 signatures on the petition. Or 2,614. So let's if you haven't signed the petition, anyone that's joined in, go to pulsepetition.org and sign the petition, because this is the time to act. Sorry.
And there's a couple of points I want to make about that petition. Firstly, you don't have to have sacrificed. You could be someone who's just purchased any of those assets since the price has gone down. And that petition is also about the SEC affecting the price by their actions. And the other thing is about, which I touched on briefly at the start of the stream, about writing your details down, and we're pretty big about non-doxing and all this sort of stuff. But I did want to make the important point that you're not actually connecting that up to an address or an account, like an Ethereum account or a PulseChain account. You're just like putting in a name, which is saying that you hold an asset, or you've had that asset or something along those lines, which I think is a bit different. And given how much weight a lot of signatures gives to an amicus brief petition, and as has been demonstrated by the XRP petition, I think it's in our interests to do it. But obviously, everyone should make their own decision based on what they feel comfortable with. But I'm still reading it, but I'm definitely doing it.
So did you say you sign it with a wallet without your name?
No wallet.
No
wallet at all. No, that was the thing I was saying. It's like you're not connecting the details you put in. You're not connecting it to anything, like any personal information,
okay,
as in like financial information. It's just the same details that people give to supermarkets every day of the week.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. So PulseChain almost went above the 6,000 level.
Should we look at the chart, the PulseChain chart?
Nah. Why not?
No, we can if you want. I mean, there's nothing really that spectacular about it. It's in an uptrend, but we can.
Yeah.
Should I bring it up?
Yep. One sec. So that's the PulseChain chart. Let's look at it on the daily. like I was saying before that, oh, look at that. Damn. So I drew this channel on a previous stream of mine, and it looks like we've broken out and actually come back and retested the channel, like returned the top of the channel into support, sort of. Like I know on this picture, it looks like it went inside it, but we could just tweak this line a bit. Yeah, that's very nice. So I'm bullish as F. And by the way, most of this upside action happened while Bitcoin was pumping. Bitcoin and Pulse were pumping together. So if we go bullish into the next month on Bitcoin, I'd be very bullish on this.
We're still
Pulse
sitting
chart.
around, Bitcoin's still sitting around the $34,000 mark. I mean, it pumped a few $1,000s within one day. Like,
yeah, it did that twice.
If it did that in one day, then, you know, there's an avalanche coming, because I think it's going to be just crazy.
Yeah,
I think shit's going to get crazy.
Bitcoin's going to freaking explode, man. Like, as in, it's going to be crazy. Look how strong this chart is, actually. So this was Pulse making higher lows and higher highs. This pullback that we just did, it didn't even come back down to these highs to find support on the highs. It just reversed in the middle of nowhere. That's hyper bullish. Like not even the wick didn't even wick down to these highs. The strength on this chart is insane. And this goes all the way back to the start of August. So basically, anyone that bought PulseChain since the start of August, so all of August, all of September, and now all of October. So that's the last 3 months. Anyone who bought Pulse and held is now in profit. That's huge. That's huge. Awesome. Like,
about time.
About fucking time.
Absolutely.
And then you guys heard about that whale that came in and was just buying up HEX on the Ethereum chain?
Yeah, and then he sold some. Yeah, I heard about him.
Yeah, that's okay though. Like,
yeah.
As long as they're a net buyer, then I don't really care if they want to, like, because I may or may not have been a whale in various coins at various times. And sometimes I still enjoy, even if I've got my overall bag, I would never sell the majority of it. The trader in me still wants to play around and make some, like, feel like I'm making some quick gains on some plays. And if that happens to be in the same wallet, then some people might think that that's a loss of confidence, where it's like, oh no, he's starting to sell some. It's not. It can just be playing around, where you're just like, so you've bought even more than you planned to have as your bag. So like you've bought like 110% of the bag that you actually want to carry through the bull. And when that goes up, you might take some profit. Ready for, if it comes back down, you might want to reload, or you might want to go buy a Lambo or whatever. Like, so I don't stress when I see big wallets making sells. I stress if I see them dumping all of it, but not if it's like a small fraction of what they've bought.
But I think everyone should take caution. You know, I mean,
picked up a Billy Pulse at 37K. Ooh,
nice, Alan. Nice.
I like it.
Very nice.
Just assume that the person's a bad actor. Like, assume the worst possible scenario of anyone that has accumulated a lot of HEX, that they're there to damage the chart and wreck Richard's reputation.
I did in the beginning. Like, I thought that, but not now.
Just maintain that attitude, and then you can't get rinsed.
But the thing is, I think everyone should be cautious, because, to be honest, PulseChain is a playground. There's so much excitement going on. There's all these new things coming in. But what you don't notice is, at the end of the day, they can take all your money. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, if you consider putting your original, you know, some of your original bags of sacrifice into these other coins, it could really not end well. And you might get a little bit excited. Everyone wants PulseChain to do well. And, you know, the more action, the more transactions we do, the higher on the ladder it goes. But you also got to be cautious because a lot of these things are shit coins and pumps and dumps. And even though you might want to play around and make a little money in the short term, traders get wrecked. And Richard always taught us that unless you really know what you're doing, it can be very dangerous and you can lose a lot. So I think everyone has to be cautious. And speaking of what number DEX we are, what number are we? What number blockchain? How?
Isn't it 369?
Where is that information?
We're 369.
Number 5.
Where's that information, Sami?
On DEX Screener.
Oh, the volume rankings.
Yeah.
Hang on, I can bring that up.
Because KDP made a good post regarding that information. And she found, I don't know where she found it, but she found a blockchain like all over the world. She found a table. But yeah, it's no, it's not. It's changed, updated back to number 9. Boo.
These things move around. These things move around quite a lot, and lots of these numbers are like fake. But I believe that when we turn proper bull, like hyper bull, when we go hyper bull, which is probably coming within the next month or so, I think PulseChain will overtake a lot of these chains because we've actually got genuine activity.
Hang on, hyper bull in the next month, dude. I'm loving this positivity. I'm loving this shit.
This is what we sorely
miss. No, but you've never said
saying all year though.
Hyper bull in the next month. That is imminent. That is like,
well, it's already started. Dude, didn't you hear Sami just say that Bitcoin moved $2,000? So one of those moves happened in a less than 10 minutes. Like if you look at 10-minute candles, one of them moved, or 5-minute candles, so you can see because it was split across 2 5-minute candles.
RG3 when that happened?
Correct. Yeah, so like when you start to see stuff like that happen, and then that pump didn't fade, and by the way, we're now higher than that pump. Where it insta pumped, so it insta pumped from like I think from 28 to 30 or
something like that. Yeah. So it was like a good $2,000 or $2,000 in like 5-10 minutes. It was really quick.
Yeah.
Look, I maybe my mindset's a little bit biased because I'm positioned in some of the Tangang coins, which have just been outperforming everything. But if you look at the Bitcoin chart, you look at the Pulse chart, we're basically, just like I was saying earlier in the year, where it's like, if you're not going to call it a bull market, you have to at least admit that we are transitioning into a bull market, was what I was saying early in the year, which turned out to be true. Now I'm saying, if you're not going to admit that we're hyperbull, you have to at least admit that we are transitioning into the hyperbull. Like, if you look at the chart and you look at what's going on and you deny that, then what charts are you looking at?
Yeah. Well, even that Pulse, I think, what did you call it? The reversal. You know, that green candle in the middle of nowhere, like hell, bro. What? I think there was money that came over the bridge. I don't know how many million, but it was a lot of money. And then bang.
So hammer candle 2 days ago on the 29th, and then it's just been green ever since. It only takes the Tangang have been onboarding people successfully, by the way, from other chains, and these dudes don't play. They're annoyed when they get to PulseChain that the LPs are not like way bigger. They're like, I can't buy these coins. The LP's not thick enough. So it's like, when you have people genuinely onboarding and taking serious interest in PulseChain that are like, oh, this won't support the size that I want to move into these assets in. It's like, dude, like stop fading the bull market. And I'm talking about the PulseChain bull market. This will be our own little like excessive. Richard made a really good case for why PulseChain will outperform all the other chains. So we've got the fact that this is the first cycle of this particular L1, which we've been saying for ages, but Richard reiterated that. And I think he had at least one other point, maybe multiple, as to why PulseChain is likely to outshine everything else as we take off into the hyperbull.
Yeah, and don't forget we got a great community. Our community is one of the biggest in crypto, and we have women. We have a lot of women in our
Good
community.
point. Good point.
We're
We've got
gonna
builders,
see.
we've got intelligent, we've got tech people, we've got AI people. Like literally come into the Tangang as a microcosm of what we have. And there's like literally an expert in every effing field that exists. We've got a dude in there who his day job, he works with a $200 million AI. Like it's over. It's over for every other chain. Like PulseChain is going to dominate the F out of this bull run. Richard just called it. Like, don't take my word for it. Go and look at Richard's tweet. It's over.
So guys,
question, guys.
9-inch.
Oh yeah, 9-inch launch.
Have you guys?
Yeah,
9-inch. So now,
all the people that said it was a rug owe everyone, like owe the founders or whatever an apology, owe Hexy an apology.
I never thought it was a rug.
No, I'm not saying you guys. I'm not
biggest...
saying you guys, but there were people out there that were querying whether it was a rug or whatever.
Yeah, they were querying the biggest bastard in crypto.
Is there anything different here? Like it's got limit orders, yeah? That's something.
I heard it had limit orders, but I didn't go and check.
Limit here.
Is it true?
I haven't. Well, it says limit.
Have you tested
here.
it?
Have I tested it? No.
Has anyone used it, Sammy?
No, hell no. I work full time,
limit.
man. I'm behind.
Yeah, but it says it. But if we haven't used it,
Claz has been in the farms, the juicy farms on 9-inch.
Are the yields still as high as what people were saying in the chat?
I think Dozza said they declined a lot within the first day.
That's typical, by the way. That's no cause for panic. That's usually what happens. I did call that, by the way. It's you
Create
end up.
Order.
In fact, I sent a lengthy voice note into our prep chat that we use to prepare these streams, explaining all the parameters, because I've been looking into the pussycat farms quite a lot, and so all of those different parameters that impact what those yields show. And the summary version, because I won't bore you guys with like a 20-minute spiel, is because all the APRs are using dollars as the way of calculating the APR. That's by necessity, because you've got different assets that are being ratioed to other assets. It means that these things vary wildly based on the price of any asset that's related, including the price of the actual incentive token itself and all of that shit. So that's probably the biggest thing that fluctuates the APRs, is the fact that it's using dollars and that everything is super volatile. And then it's the participation.
Did you see what Claz says? 14 to 15,000%, the 9-inch farms. Wow, that's freaking amazing.
Yeah, but that's not sustainable. Like as in, but it's fine. Like as in,
no,
it's not saying that what you'll earn from a farm, even as that APR looks like it's just crashing down, it's still good. Like as in, it's just that it's mainly because at the very start, if there's very few participants, the total emission is being handed out to the very few people that are participating. And then those high APRs attract more people, and that brings the APR down as there's more assets within that pool, and the emissions of the incentive have to be split up among those people. And ultimately you find a balancing point. As the APR comes down, it's less and less enticing to new participants. So it effectively balances itself. And if that APR gets low enough, then some people might leave and go, this APR is not high enough for me. They leave. And that means for everyone else, the APR goes back up. So the APRs of the farms don't put too much focus on what those numbers are. Like, obviously we want them to be nice and high, like the pussycat ones that have basically stayed high basically forever since the start of their...
What a pussycat?
Well, they vary from between like 100% to several 100%. But the thing that I've noticed is they've stayed high. Like that.
Really?
So, yeah, so obviously when they launch a new farm, it goes straight to it's like tens of thousands of percents, because that always happens. Then people come in, it drops down to hundreds of percents, but it typically stays around for each farm and pool. It typically stays between like 100 and 400%. And I'm generalizing here that it's different for each farm. It's different for each farm and pool, but typically the yields, I've been impressed with how high those yields have stayed. They're my favorite farms personally.
And what on 9-inch, the pussycat farms? Where are they?
No. It's a separate farm. It's a separate protocol. So I'm not talking about a farm that is on 9inch. I'm talking about a completely different farming protocol.
Okay, cool.
But we'll just get to see how they are over time. Like, as in, all you do is you just keep an eye on the APRs over time, and you just see which farms have better stability and better levels. Just always know that when a new one gets added, like when a new pool or farm gets added, regardless of how old the farm protocol is, it's always going to show these stupid high percentages at the start, and then they're going to drop.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's basically two ways to play it. You either try and get in super early and get that really high yield before everyone else starts to participate, or you wait to see what it levels out at and then decide if you want to participate, long term. So it's like short term play, try and jump in before everyone else and then get out with your gains, or wait for it to stabilize and then work out whether it's a good long term play. Obviously, there's many factors involved, but it's good to see. It's good to see that some of these protocols that people thought might have been rugs have now launched, and it's just more protocols for PulseChain. It's just more vibrancy, more options, more competition. The NFT marketplaces have got like a really good attitude towards competition. I've noticed that the representatives from each marketplace, they generally don't try and say like, oh, ours is the best, yours is shit. That they will talk about what the pros and cons are of each of their marketplaces.
Yeah, hey, and Nix said, Tangent, what's the Pussycat Farm website name?
It's just farm.pussycat.life. But I think I tweet about them like with reasonable frequency. So my Twitter is another option for the link. But they're just my favorite farms at the moment. And also, by the way, I'll admit I'm biased because the assets that they allow in like that are currently on the farms are generally the assets that I hold because they're Tangang. It's Tangang focused. So it might not be everyone's cup of tea, but they do have options for RH maxis as well. They've got single asset staking pools for all of the main Richard Hart assets. So you can go like PulseX. I don't think there's a Pulse single asset pool, but PulseX, HEX, etc. And they take requests, by the way. Like if they see that there's enough demand for a specific thing to be added, then they'll typically consider it. So they actually just recently added one. If you scroll to the top 43, are you on farms or pools? So what's the percentage in that top left one? So
2%.
9-inch
No,
yield.
No, the APR. Is it over 1,000?
1,300 and 1,300.
So that's an example that got literally added today, and so that's why that yield is higher than all the rest, and that will likely come down a bit and be in the like 100 to several 100% once it stabilizes. But so and importantly, actually, sorry, I forgot the most important part. They use V2, so that's something we should ask 9inch what LP, like what LPs they're actually taking, because the Pussycat farms were partly born out of people's frustration that you had to choose between getting an incentive token or a fees on your LPs. And they were like, let's just build one that has both. Like it's like literally every other farm that's ever existed in the whole history of DeFi. Mm-hmm. And so does it say on those 9-inch ones whether they're using V1 or V2 LPs?
I'm not sure.
I hope it's V2, man. I hope it's V2, man. Otherwise, I'll be really disappointed. But I guess that keeps Pussycat Farms more competitive if they have gone with V1. So it's a win-win for me.
It's big percentages here.
Yeah, they're huge. Huge.
Yeah. Hopefully they stay high. Like as in, we'll know it happens quickly. So we'll know within a few days whether they're going to stay high or not. You know what I mean? Like it should be a week max. In a week max. If they're still this high in a week, that would be, then you would go, oh, these yields are staying really high. But that's very unlikely. Like very, very, very unlikely.
Nice. Hey guys, I really want to stay and chat and talk crypto, but I've got to get up in the morning. If I don't, I'll be yawning all day. So I'm gonna go out and I might just lay down and watch this while I'm going to sleep.
Cheers, Sammy. Thanks
Good
for all
to
your
see
comments
you.
today.
No worries.
Good to
I'm not
see
far.
everyone. Talk soon.
See you
Enjoy
later,
the price action. See you next week.
Yes. Bye. And we won't be far behind because I actually also wanted to keep this one reasonably short. Oh, 43. By the way, the last thing I'll mention before it sounds like I'm too much of a fanboy wearing an orange hat and shit. Someone within the Tang Gang, external to the core Pussycat team, created new graphics for those farms. So if anyone thinks like, oh, that front end looks a bit basic, it's just like block color and stuff, a front end is coming that looks absolutely fire, bro. Like at least at the quality level of other protocols that you've seen on PulseChain. The person that did it is Crypto Knight, which is the same guy who created NFT on Pulse and a few other PulseChain websites. I apologize, I don't think I've forgotten the other websites that he's created, but his username's Crypto Knight.
Yep.
He
Nice.
Offered and create like completely free, completely voluntary, just for the culture. He said, I love what you guys are doing, but I think you guys can do better graphically. Allow me to and he wasn't even like, oh, I want to know for sure that you're going to use my graphics before I go and do it. He just went and did it. Like, so you know what I mean? Like, he didn't even expect a commitment from them. Yep. Just to make another PulseChain protocol look even better, just so that our forward facing front line or our front wave that we present to the external community, either external crypto or just normies, just looks tight. Like where people are like, wow, these are polished interfaces that look amazing. So shout out to him for just doing it for the culture.
How much has your crew leaned into the Halloween thing, given that there's like very much a pumpkin, orange pumpkin?
Yeah, there was
type.
So there was a project that got created that was pumpkin, like carved pumpkins, but they're actually oranges, called
Yeah.
And then there was another NFT project that was like skeletons. There was like a skeletons. One of those was actually like made as a tribute to me. Like, so my initials TA are on the actual NFT. So even though it was still one that was able to be minted, like, so it wasn't sent to me, it was just created to do with me. Then there was, so Grovo Lantern is the one that was the pumpkins carved out of oranges. There was also, I think, did Charlie do a Halloween thing? So then there was those skeleton ones. Are they on the website? Oh man, there's so like Trick or Treaters was a one that was created like prior to Halloween that was done in a obviously it's called Trick or Treaters, and it was meant to be for people who got rugged, so that they got tricked because they got rugged. So this was this artist's wanting to give a treat to those people who got tricked, and then called the collection Trick or Treat, like Trick or Treaters. There was also another one, so that I can't see the one that was like the skeleton ones. It was like skeleton something or other. So they leaned in reasonably hard, like as a group, into this whole idea of the.
It makes sense.
Fully Croissant made a thing. I don't know if you saw it, where he said he gave this orange square on Twitter and said, if you digitally draw on this square and send it back to me, I'll wrap it into a 3D jack-o'-lantern and put it into the metaverse. So if you go into the metaverse currently, you'll see all the art, like all the things that people drew as faces for these jack-o'-lanterns. And obviously that's not an NFT project. That was just for the culture. Like, it's just visually when you're in the metaverse. And what else? I apologize to the Tan Gang if there are projects and things that I'm forgetting, but it's like, bro, I have had to actually modify my sleep schedule to not miss some of these NFT mints, whether they're like free or paid. I'm like, I'll stay up for one and then sleep with an alarm so that I don't miss like the next one.
How,
it's
man?
Wrecked. It's
how do you,
wrecked, bro.
Like, how do you
it's
have
wrecked.
so much like focus and attention for this stuff?
Well, it's like every time I tell myself, oh, they're just NFTs, I don't need to get every single drop. The next one that comes out is something that I genuinely want. So like Charlie 2020 did 2 free mints. Sami mentioned one of them was just the one that had like nudity and stuff. It was like girls, like some of them are nude, some of them aren't. And that was one that was free. And she did one with lizards as well. That was also free. And then she did a paid mint, which I saw the art for it and I actually really liked. So I was like, okay, I need to 43. Are you still there? All right. I think 43 rugged himself out of the stream. Hello? Okay. So, all right. Well, I guess I'm taking over this mofo. It's a Tangang stream now. Like, no, I'm just kidding. There's actually this awesome Tangang intro video that I'm actually going to use as an intro to some of my videos where someone made a video that's like one of those. In fact, I won't plot spoil it. So yeah, that's the answer to the question. Halloween stuff happened. I'm not even sure if we're still live because 43 seems to have disappeared. Oh, here he is. I was gonna close up, bro. I was gonna say an outro and then just you might be muted. Oh.
Yeah. No, my internet like just died for about 30 seconds there.
Glitched.
Yeah, no, it just went down to zero, nothing for like 30 seconds for some reason. But yeah, dude,
happened again. So I guess I'll do my outro, even though 43 won't be able to hear me. And then if he's not back to do his outro by the time I finish, then I'll just pull the plug. And so, man, what's my outro? Outro, you guys realize, obviously, that I'm giga bullish. I'm giga bullish on PulseChain. And that makes me giga bullish on everything because PulseChain is a very important base unit. 43, I was just doing my outro. So PulseChain to me, it's really important that it starts to perform well because it does the rising tide lifts all boats. I want / need PulseChain to start behaving the way that I know it can and should. We've seen evidence of that already. So this is not just wishful thinking. I think there's multiple genuine strong bullish cases that can be put together in all respects, technicals, fundamentals, sentiment, everything. I'm bullish on the Tangang. I'm bullish on the impact that they've already had on PulseChain. I'm bullish on the fact that they have branched out successfully to other chains and have made that work. So we've got Chia bros and freaking ETH bros and NFT bros and Too Spooky is working on getting the crypto.com guys to take a look at PulseChain and to respect it and that sort of thing. So effectively, as each chain admits or realizes that PulseChain is worth at least being aware of, and that we bust the myths that have been put in the way of them coming and participating at all. So we're smashing those barriers down one by one. Once that happens, and that community, they then are the ones that propagate that message to the rest of their community. And we can shift our focus on the next community. So we have literally just gone door to door, kicking that shit in. It's like, knock, knock, Chia bros, boom. You're coming to PulseChain, drag them out on the street, force them to have a good time, and then they go and tell their friends, hey, PulseChain's amazing. So our job stops once we've got key players from those communities loving PulseChain. That's literally, and then we just pivot and go to the next chain. And this is not supposed to sound like door-to-door manipulation or like gang violence or anything. It's just facts. Like we're being honest with our pitch. We're like saying, hey, look, and I think sometimes what helps is there are people in the group that are very critical of PulseChain and very critical of Richard. And so when these other communities hear people speak like that, it doesn't just sound like delusional moon boy fanboy talk where all the negatives are buried and not spoken about, and it's just all presented as roses. And so that, I think that in itself has been very appealing to these other communities where they're like, oh, they're actually admitting some of the things that we know to be true. Now we trust these guys to tell us the truth. And they're also telling us that it's worth us still coming over here despite some of these negatives. And so that has been surprisingly powerful. Richard's not the only one who can do 5D chess. There are people in the Tang gang that also do it, and with really good intention. So yeah, we're just going to keep kicking goals for PulseChain, and that's my outro. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. 43, are you still there?
I'm still here. Dude, it would have been hard for the stream to end since we're on Discourse Syndicate. So you would have done your outro, you would have left, and the stream would have just been an empty screen.
Blank screened it.
just blank screen, waiting for me to get my shit together, come back in and turn it off, which is not usually the case because on the DeFi Down Under channel, you do have admin, so you can go in and do whatever. But this, when we simulcast on DS, that's under their control. So yeah, it's not the same situation. But look, big shout out to everyone in the chat. Thanks for coming along this week. We're going to cut it a little bit shorter than normal. I mean, we have been going for an hour and 43 minutes, which is that's a good show. I too have an early morning start, and yeah, look, I hope, like you said something in this stream, Tangent, which I very much hope is, in our not too distant future, and we're going into Hyperball.
Yeah. Keep an eye on the monthly close is the last thing I want to say to everyone, including you. Just keep an eye on the monthly Bitcoin close. If it's anywhere near what we are now, like so assuming that the bears don't come and smash the price down within the next, so it's less than 12 hours away. I'll tweet about it just in case people are unsure. I'll tweet about it.
Keep an eye on it, but I hope that what you're saying is what happens, because we could all do with some green candles towards the end of this year.
Yeah, man.
I think it will lift everyone's
Christmas
spirits.
will be more fun with some green candles.
Thanks a lot, dude. Thanks for coming along, and appreciate your insight every week.
You too, dude.
Thanks again to everyone in the chat. We'll see you next week.
See you.
Cheers.